Okay.
All right, we're ready.
You want me to stand?
Yeah. Ready? Shh. Get him out.
Jimmy. Nothing nasty.
What are you talking about nasty? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it recording?
Okay, my questions are designed. My questions are designed to extract essay answers so that we can get stories behind the questions. So my first question is for Opa. Do you remember the streetcars? And can you tell us some stories about the streetcars in Indianapolis? I'll come back to my response.
Stories about it.
Tell us about the streetcars.
What are they?
The streetcar was a trolley that ran on tracks and had an electric cable, which they call a trolley, that hooked to overhead wires. They were electric. And they ran all over the city of Indianapolis. My brother and I used to take the streetcar up on Shelby Street and ride it to the YMCA to Illinois and New York Street.
Goodbye.
And we also rode the streetcar from Fountain Square all the way to Broad Ripple Park. We had to transfer uptown from one streetcar to another. It cost 7 cents to get on the streetcar and 2 cents for a transfer.
2 cents.
Or you could buy 4 tokens for a quarter. Tokens were also good on the trackless trolleys. The trackless trolleys were like streetcars, but they did not ride on. They didn't run on tracks. They had wheels and tires, just like buses do today. But they had a trolley that fit on the overhead electrical wires. And you could ride all over town with streetcars and trackless trolleys. And unlike the public transportation of today, you could catch a streetcar or a trolley every 15 minutes. So many, many people in those days didn't have and they rode the streetcars. That's about all I can tell you about it.
That's about all I know about that. My next question is also for Opa. I got a few for Opa here in a minute. My next question is also for Opa. Being the senior boy in this family, I can ask all the questions I want. My next question will be a couple of people for Opa. I would like to know this house that we're all in right now. When you first moved into this house, can you tell us about this house and the evolution of this house to where it is today?
The evolution.
Oma changed it. Oma evolutionized it.
No, from when you were a boy.
Okay. Well, we moved into this house in 1939.
What year?
1939, or 38. 1938. There was a little pantry like over here in the back. The back door was there where the windows are now. Over there where the kitchen is now was the bathroom. And there was a hallway like this one here. The stairway went up from the back and they showed where it is now. My dad changed it over to this side. This was a little room here. And he made in a bathroom and put that stairway over here from back there. Made a kitchen and a dining room. Moved the doorway from the middle of that room in there over to the side end of the building. Before he put that doorway there, he had knocked a hole in the wall. And we dug out the basement and we wheeled the dirt up through that hole in the wall. Glenn and I would dig the dirt out, put it in a wheelbarrow, and one of us would stand at the top, pull the wheelbarrow up with a rope while the other would steer it. So after we got the basement dug out, then he moved the door over there, put those windows in.
Is that about all you got to say about that? Okay, my next question is for Oma. Oma, next month is Christmas time. Can you tell us about when you were a little girl and Kris Kringle coming down the street chasing you with the switches?
Yeah.
Well, at that time in Germany, I've been living not in the city, in the outskirts from the city, like Beach Grove in Indianapolis. And outside from the city, you'll be a little different than in the city, you know, you'll be a little more freer. And at that time, they had the grown-ups dress up as Saint Nick. And in those days, they didn't wear red and white. And today, I'm still surprised, you know, why. But they wore a long coat, and it was black. And then they had a white bed, and they had a big hat on, and they had a mask on. And usually they had a switch along. The switch was always there for Santa Claus. And, well, like I said, we've been living in a little outside of the city. So we've been a little freer at that time. And we children, we went outside. And in the time when St. Nicholas came along, we went out there, and we been a little bit on the mean side, you know, tomboys. And we stood on the corner, and when we saw one coming, we had an old song for him, you know. And it usually went, Nikolaus, Nikolaus, turn around, you know. And we made a little fun at him, you know. Told him to turn around, and when he turned around, we started running, because we wanted him to chase us. And that's how it usually ended. But we've been scared too, because inside your hearts, in the mind we thought, you know, we know who it was, but inside your hearts we said, we better run, because I don't think we don't want to be switched by him. And when he did catch us, he did switch us at it, on the legs. And we had on the 6th day December, we got the presents. And we children had to go to bed at the time. And then we heard a bell ringing. And they said, uh-oh, Santa Claus has come. And your mommy came and said, you come on. And you've been in your nightie at the time already, because St. Nick came in the nighttime. So we went in there, and St. Nicholas came and took you on your lap, like Evelyn got right now, Rabbi. And he asked you all the questions, if you have been a good girl, if you have been a good boy. And a lot of times when the parents told him, no, you haven't been too good, he gave you 2-3 switches. And then he said, well, this time I'm going to leave you some presents. But if I come back next year and you've done it again, you haven't been a good girl, you get nothing. So we promise, oh, we'll be good girls, you'll be good girls. But you know how girls and boys promise, you don't keep a promise when you're little.
Okay, why don't we have Abby ask a question now? We'll just take Jimmy's family. Abby, you want to ask Oma?
I have one question for both of you. When did you decide to get married and why?
Well, I was in love in 52. Well, up to 51. I was in love.
Wait a minute, Evelyn was born in 49.
She's not that old.
I'll stop the day.
When I met Opa, you got it going?
Yeah, it's going. If that red light's on, it's going.
When I met Opa, you know, Oma was a dumb girl at the time. Not very smart, trusting, believing. So, when I met Opa, I thought I'm in love, which I thought I am. That's why you usually get married.
Okay, ask Alpha.
And that's how Oma met Opa and got married.
That's about the size of it.
I want to know where you met.
Where did you meet? Where did you meet?
Okay, we met in a guest house.
Huh?
Guest house.
Is it
Hotel.
a restaurant? And
A dance place, isn't it? Dance hall.
At the bar.
Guest houses in Germany. They would be called something like inns here.
Lounges.
And Oma went out with her girlfriends on the, well, not every night, but usually on weekends. And that's where they went, because they had nowhere else to go for entertainment.
We went dancing.
And they went, yeah, they went dancing.
We went dancing.
I was coming for that. So, I went with my buddies uptown, and we went to this place, and there she was.
Opa couldn't
And
dance.
I liked her.
Opa couldn't dance?
No.
Did you teach him?
No! He Well, he didn't. There usually in
She was the
Germany.
best looking girl of the
In
bunch.
Germany, when you go to a place like this at that time, there'll be about 4 or 5 girls on the table, and then there'll be big round tables or the big square tables. And we girls from work, we've been about 4 or 5 girls, and then the next table had about 4 or 5 GIs, and that's how it started, you know. They talk to us, we talk to them, and
Sparks flew.
That's right.
And they still
It
fight
was a
for
nightclub.
Okay, Aaron, do you have a
The
question?
name of that guest house was the Golden Lion.
Aw.
Golden
Even
Lion.
remembers.
Okay, we're gonna ask, Aaron's gonna come up and ask.
I got a question for Opa and Oma.
Rob.
Opa, where did you go to school?
Where did I go to school?
Let me sit.
Well, I started to school at School 61 on Shelby Street at the Fountain Square, where the Teamsters Union parking lot is right now. Then when we moved here, I went to Old School 20, which was up there where the girls' school is, girls' club is.
sitting on the floor.
Spruce Street. And they built a new School 20, and I went over there. Until
School 20. How many in this room went to school 20?
then after that, I went to Ted.
Oma, did you have a pet when you were little?
When I was little, I always had a cat.
And,
The cat sleeps in the bed.
and a goose.
Tell us about your cat and your goose.
Kid.
Well, see, when we left my hometown through the war, when we lost everything, and we went over to Bavaria at that time, we've been refugees, we had nothing, we started all up from the ground, we lost everything through the war, and we never had country life before, we always been city people. And at that time, when we had to leave our homes in Oberschlesien, which is Poland today, we had to go over to Bavaria, and in Bavaria we lived in the country. We had no idea about country life. We hated it, but we had no place to go, so we had to stay there, because at that time, through the war, housing was hard to get by. And if you got housing, you had to have the allowance to the police and to the mayor. So my Aunt Monica been living in a little country place, and you find in Monica, like Heavenly Father had his hands in it, that we're going to be together, because when we left our hometown, we landed in Austria first. And from Austria we went over to Bavaria. And in Bavaria, all the people, the refugees people, have to be told they have to leave the train, that the train wouldn't go any place today no more, so that people can go outside, stretch their legs, and do what they want to do at the time. And when my father went out aus the train station, he went to the street side, and he saw his sister Monica. And when Monica saw him, you know, we're all dead, or we're dead, or whatever. So there was a good reunion at the time, because Monica and her other sister Mickey, my father's other sister Mickey, they all been together, and his father. And they've been living in a little country place, 20 miles away from the city. And she said she's going to take us to her place, and she's going to go and talk to the mayor that we get housing, that we don't need to go any farther with the train. So she wrote some letter, she put her signature down on the papers that she's responsible for us, and the letter was free. So she took us to that little country place, and the mayor gave us housing. That was the old mayor's house, and they just built a new mayor's house, and that's how we got that housing at the time. And I've been living there for about 1 year, and I became a friend to the girl across the street. She was a farmer's daughter. When she told me she's going up to the city to get a job, and I said, well, I go along with you. So we went up to the city and got us a job in a cotton factory. And I worked in a cotton factory 9 years. And we lived in the country place for 3 or 4 years, and they had a little old lady come to the country. In those days, you know, everybody had rationed, where you had to buy everything on coupons through the war, and after the war, you could go freely to the grocery store. You had to have coupons where you could buy so much meat, so much bread, so much stuff for your living. When that little lady came to the country and sold what she could sell to the farmers, like clothing, and she stopped by our house because we had a little old water pump in the front. And she asked my father for a drink. She was so thirsty at the time. And she started telling him, oh, you people here in the country got it so good. You got the chickens, you got the geese, you got the pigs. All you have to do is just go on the field, get your potatoes, get your corn and all this. My father said, well, where are you from? She said, from the city. And he said, well, little lady, I trade with you anytime. We're not the country folks. I take your city house and you can have the country folks here. And that's how we got in the city at that time. But it was my pleasure.
That your cat and your goose.
Oh, okay. Well, was it my cat when I was a little girl?
I thought you almost got around to geese.
In the country, Casey, behind our house, but maybe from here to the alley, there was a little brook, what you call it, kind of water, yeah, creek. And the little geese and ducks been swimming in there. And my mom, in that time when they lived there, she became a country woman. She went to the farmers and got herself geese and ducks and chickens. We took the ducks and the geese down to the water pond that they could swim in the daytime. And in the nighttime, we had to call him home, and always had to go and call him, here ducky, ducky, here geese, geese. Well, that one wouldn't come out. So I took a rock or a stick, and I tried to chase him to the other side, Then I hit him on the head, and he went under. And I said, oh, now I'm going to get blistered. The old man going to kill me when I get home. So I went home. I said, I can find the other duck. It won't come out. I cannot find him. My mother said, he is already home. In that time I was so scared. I've been running back and forth on the little water brook, on the little river, or what you want to call it, water pond. Been running back and forth, looking and calling his name. And he didn't come out, and I drowned, I killed him because I've been throwing stuff after him. Well, he must have swum under the water, come up on the other side, and been thrown into the
Okay, Lisa. Lisa has some questions.
Close your ears.
Well, I would just like to know if you went to church when you were kids and where you went.
Oh, I tell you something.
Okay.
I tell you something. My father was Catholic. My mother was evangelist. And my father's mother, I cannot believe it. Because my father's mom was really religious. In those days, the Catholics, they go really early in the morning to church. Well, my grandma had a house, a double. On one side, she been living, on the other side, my Aunt Mickey. And that little lady got up every morning before 6 o'clock and walked 5-7 miles to the city, to the church. My opa never did. And I guess that's where my father came into it. My father never had religion with him. And my mother did. And when my mother went to work, my mother's mother babysitted. And Grandma Pavlik took me to church. She was custodian of the one church building. And I went to church with her. And when I went to the country to see my other grandma, I went with her to the Catholic church. Not so often like with my grandma, with my mother's mother. And so there was religion in my family through my grandmother. But when my mom and my dad moved to the city, the religion stopped. Because my mom didn't went to church and neither did my dad.
Stop now.
But I had it when I was a young girl.
Oh, Pa, did you go to church when you were younger?
Okay, I went to Sunday school a few times at St. Mark's Lutheran at Oliver Prospect, where my older sister used to go to church. Until Aunt Ruth came along and told us about her sister-in-law, who she called Mrs. Smug. joined the Mormon church, and she taught the gospel to Aunt Ruth, and Aunt Ruth came to our house. She used to come to our house to mend our clothes and alter them.
Taught you what gospel?
Huh?
What gospel? What gospel? What church did Aunt Ruth start? He didn't say that.
Aunt Ruth, I don't know if she was going to church at that time, but she had formerly belonged to the Third Christian Church, her and my mother and other aunts.
I'll just get the first two.
As young girls, after they came there, they went to Third Christian Church. But Aunt Ruth came and told us that she had found the true church, which was the Mormon church, and she converted first my older sister, Laura, and Lena was working for the Lutheran minister as a live-in housekeeper. She joined the church and quit her job. Then the rest of us were all baptized in 1939. So I've been a Mormon ever since.
Ricky, you have a question?
I do. This is for Dad. Is it true your nickname was Texas or Texan?
Utah.
And how did you get it? Utah.
No, Texas is not true.
What was your nickname?
Utah,
Why?
because Mother went to Utah to visit, to go to the temple of Salt Lake and to visit Laura. And she brought me and Glenn both back a cowboy hat. And I wore mine, Glenn didn't wear his. So Glenn started the Utah stuff with his friends.
Where did Bud come in?
Bud is what my family called me because they didn't want to call me Junior.
They used to call him Red in the old
Was
neighborhood,
it
didn't
because when Grandma used to yell for you and your sister, she'd yell, Rosebud!
Yeah, my grandmother, when she was visiting us and she'd come out to call us for supper and something, she'd call me and Rose and she'd say, Rosebud.
Okay, let's ask.
I got another one.
You can only have one at a time.
She didn't
Oh,
get
you didn't have to go home.
I want to ask both of them what their favorite Christmas memory was of their childhood, their most favorite Christmas memory. Your best Christmas.
Good question.
I do that one.
Okay, I want to hear it.
I don't know.
Well, my Christmases when I was little were just basically all the same. Just a big crowd here, for always at our house because we always had the biggest home. So all the aunts and uncles and cousins would come to our house and we'd have a big feast. And the thing I can remember the most is that Mother and Grandma used to set up all night baking pies. Other than that, my Christmases were all the same up until 1946 when my father died on Christmas Day. And so that's the one I can remember the most.
How did he die?
He was out hunting and had a heart attack. He was hunting with the boots next door, that lived next door then. They were up in Madison hunting.
Mom, do you want to tell us
I got
about
one.
yours?
Who was Uncle Archie?
She's
and how
going
did
to
he
tell,
get
wait a minute, she wants to tell about her favorite Christmas.
Uncle Archie was Aunt Lena's husband, and he was an American Legion, and he came to Indianapolis for American Legion convention, and they were at the Claypool Hotel uptown, the old Claypool Hotel, which none of you would remember. It burnt down, but a bunch of his buddies was playing with him and picked him up by his arms and his legs and was swinging him and they dropped him on the concrete. He was paralyzed that way.
That was your Aunt Lena.
Huh?
Your Aunt Lena.
Yeah, my mother's sister.
Yeah, not your sister.
No, Aunt Lena.
Okay. Your favorite Christmas memory.
Well, I don't think I should talk about it. I think that's too sad and then too happy. So I'm going to leave the sad part out. I mean, the happiest time was I loved my mother with all my heart. My mom Und also wir haben hard life. The best time we ever had was one Christmas. My mom decided they're gonna go and be with her mother. And all my mom's sisters and brothers all came together in that house. And that was the most memorable Christmas I always remember. Because there was love, happiness, no drinking, no fighting. And on that day I could go sleep and didn't need to crawl under my blanket and be sick. I slept, and that was the most memorable Christmas I had in my life. And in my heart today, I'm here 67 years old, and I feel like a little girl when I think on my mother and on my grandmother. That's my mother's mother. That's been the most important people in my life. As a child, and in my heart, they never got me.
Okay, Megan has a question. Let's go. Ricky's. Oh, yeah, Ricky.
And for Oprah, how did you propose to Oprah?
I don't remember the last proposal.
Come on.
Uh-oh, he don't remember.
I just said, let's get married.
It's like a shotgun type thing.
Ingrid gets mad at me for not being
I'm not
romantic.
ashamed of it because I'm going to tell you, the mugger putting out the blanket, you might spread it out.
Cut!
If there wasn't a shotgun wedding, you all wouldn't be here today except her.
Well, we're glad there was a shotgun wedding.
And that's one thing I thank my Heavenly Father from my heart. Because I never ever said I didn't want her, I didn't want you, I didn't want him, or her, or the Mary. I always loved my kids. I might not show it a lot of times when I give you a spanking. And when I hit my fits, and I hollered and screamed. But I tell you something, you children are my life. You children are my life.
Okay, baby, you have a
Mom, and you
question?
remember doing this to us.
Please.
Okay, for Oma. Wait a minute, Megan. Let it quiet down. Ricky, calm them down.
One time.
All right, Megan has a question.
What was your reaction when he proposed to you?
That's enough.
Oh, nothing, I was pregnant.
What age?
She said, might as well.
And we didn't get married till Ephraim was born, wasn't it? Yeah, Ephraim was about 2 years old, something, when we got married. Because at that time he had to have all paperwork done, but Oma had to have some paperwork done, like I said before. We didn't have a lot of papers.
In those days, I had to have permission from the army to get married. And it was a lot of red tape.
Yeah, they investigated me if I'm a Nazi.
Right, yeah, we had to find out if she was a Nazi.
So they
We
went
had
all
to
in the
travel.
background.
We had to travel to Nuremberg and talk to people. We had to talk to the chaplain to see if our religions would make a difference in our marriage. And we had to go to Munich and to the American consulate and fill out papers. So it took a long time.
Yeah, you've been investigated.
So
by-
then, since she had me before that, then I was a German citizen.
Yeah, you became, no, you was American right from birth.
You're-
Because you have.
Well, she got dual citizenship. You're American citizen because you were born to an American citizen abroad.
So I didn't have to
You
have
have
you,
papers to
I
that
didn't
effect.
have to have you, how you call it?
Naturalized.
Naturalized. You never, because you became automatically American when I married him. Because you was his child. But there was proof that you be his.
Okay.
Rita the same way. Rita was born in Germany.
Well, we
Yeah, but you guys were married then, so that's
Now,
different.
but she was American citizen because she was born to an American citizen.
Okay. All right, Misty.
So was my name ever changed, or was it on the birth certificate as Sippick or Hollenbaugh?
We'll have to have yours changed.
Yes, that you changed, because when you leave the hospital, see, I got paper for you right there, you know, when you was born.
With your last
That
name.
wasn't my list,
Yeah, Sippick.
because I wasn't there.
Okay,
But then when
Misty.
you got married, before we came to the States.
All right, everybody. All right, Misty has a question.
What do you remember about your grandparents?
I can't hear.
Remember about your grandparents?
What do you remember about your grandparents?
Well, I only knew one grandparent. That was my mother's mother, and she was mean.
Me.
Mean. She made us behave.
Oh.
That made her mean.
What did
She's
you
the
call
one
her?
that used to call us Rosebud. And she lived in Anderson with Aunt Lena and Uncle Archie. She would come to visit us. Maybe twice a year, stay for a month at a time. But when she was in our house, we listened.
Did you call her Granny or Grandma or
We called her
Grandmother?
Grandma.
Grandma?
And she would cut a switch off the tree.
What was her name?
With you. Her name was Anna.
LaMasters?
Okay, Misty, a question for Oma?
And you're probably related to her.
Yeah, that's what I called. Did you like it better in Germany or here?
Well, Germany always gonna be in my big mind, always. I'm never gonna forget Germany. And there is two Germanys involved, really. One is today Poland. That was my birthplace. But I remember so good and so much. Because there'd be so many memory involved in it.
With
in
Germany
loving.
then when she was living.
And then there is one Germany where I had to go to because we lost to the war. That part of Germany became Poland. And we had to make a new homeland. And that land is Germany too. But I didn't get acquainted too much with it because I came then over here after so many years. So I've been a little more with my memory in that homeland I've been born. But I like to talk about,
Wait, we gotta ask.
oh, okay.
One last question, isn't it?
I want to tell you something about my grandma, though. She wasn't really mean, I was just kidding. She was just old-fashioned and made us behave.
Miranda's turn.
Okay.
Miranda.
Oh, Pop, are you gonna get married in a big church?
Did you guys get married in a big church?
No, we got married in a, I don't know what you call it over there, but it would be a justice of the peace here. Like a judge.
Just in front of a judge, no
Judge
church.
married us.
Okay, well, that one.
He had a young boy there with him to translate. You know what translate means? He talked to us in German, and the boy would repeat it in English. Okay?
How about Oma?
Mama, did you always play in school?
Yeah, we did play. We played usually hide and seek and ball. We played ball.
Ask her what you was going to ask her earlier. About her mom working in the castle?
Oh, yeah. She wants to know about the castle your mom worked
Oh, I like to bring something up and probably can bring it into this. When my mom was a young girl, she lived
Miranda,
there.
listen. Almost done.
When my mom was living in, as a little girl, she didn't live in the city. They lived in the outskirts. And in those days, in Germany, they had a lot of barons. And that means the rich people. And she worked for one who was a baron. And she worked in the castle. And they put her in the kitchen. And my mom became a good cook. And I wish a lot of times I could be the cook she was because she learned how to cook, how to bake. My mom was a horse when it came to working. My mother worked herself to death. She could work and never complain. And that's why I want to bring something in. The reason I brought up, now I had two grandparents, okay? One side was my father's side. And I was always so amazed, and I wish today I could do genealogy in that field. Because I remember My father's mother died when I was a little girl, 8, 9 years old. But I remember her, I can close my eyes and see the woman in front of me. That grandma could not speak German at all. She just spoke Polish. And every time when she talked to us kids, they had 2 Polish in Germany. They called it water Polish, and Polish would the Polacks be raised from child up. So they probably can call my English, they would call it water English, because American, because I don't talk perfect American. But this grandma, she could speak Polish. She spoke little German. And every time when she spoke, she called us girls Joker. Joker means daughter. And every time she talked to us, we ran to her parents and said, what did she say? What did she say? She died when I was 8 years old. But I can close my eyes. When I see that woman in front of me, I laughed. She was a little woman, heavy set. But she always wore those Polish clothes, those far, you ever see those Mexican in their clothes with the far out skirts and the colored skirts? That's what my Oma wore. Then I was a little child, and she couldn't talk German, which my mother's mother was the opposite. She was a tall woman, slim, and she always went dressed in short skirts, short coats, and always a hat with a feather in it.
Who was that?
That was my mother's mother. And she could speak German, but I could understand her. So I always ran to my mom and wanted to know when my Oma, my father's mother, spoke to me what she is saying, because my mother could speak Polish and understand Polish. But like I said, I cannot make genealogy to really find out. And probably would find out that she was 100% Polak. Now my mother could speak Polish because they learned in school a little bit and in their homes. But when Hitler, when we had leader come, you know, like President Clinton or they had a president in Germany, and when he came, he decided all Germany got to speak just German. If they speak Polish, they're going to be locked down. So when we kids went to school, they just spoke German to us. So our Oma never learned how to speak Polish. But my mom could speak Polish at that time. Today when I can make genealogy, I'll probably find out that my father's mother was Polak, because she could not speak German at all.
Okay, Jackie, you have questions?
Not really. Getting back to the castle, did you ever go to the castle with your Oma to cook or clean or anything? Or your mom?
No, it was my mother. At that time, I wasn't born.
Oh, okay.
And when she married she was there when she was a young girl, 16, 17, and then she stayed till she met my father and married him. That was before I was born. That's when she worked as a young girl.
Okay, Andrea has some questions. Okay, say what?
What? Andrew's got a question.
What was your favorite game to play?
What was your favorite game to play when you were little?
Indian cowboys and Indians.
Cowboys and Indians. What
Rabbit.
about for Oma?
What was your favorite toy to play with?
Your favorite toy to play
My
with?
favorite toy,
Door.
I had a doll, and the doll
I
was
said
big.
door.
And I just loved this doll.
I said door.
And one day,
Door.
she gotten old, you know, and I could look when you play with the doll too long. I got a new doll. And I hated it. Took the hammer and beat her face. And then we had a china cabinet back home in Germany. My mom told me that story when I got married. We had a china cabinet. I wouldn't remember if she told me that. We had a china cabinet and it stood, you know, across the corner like that. You had a lot of room behind it, you know, like when you put a china cabinet this way. Now when I done it, you know, when I beat her up with the hammer, I was scared now that my dad gonna spank me for it. So I took the doll and I went, Well, you know, my mom didn't write in the day every so often. So it took about 2-3 weeks before she went all the way down there and then they find it. But she was good buddy. She got a little mad, but my father would have twisted my butt.
Okay, Olivia, do you have some questions?
No, but did you fight in any wars? Did you fight in any wars?
No, I didn't fight in any wars.
Tell us about the Army then. What did you do in the Army?
What did I do in the Army?
What took you to Germany?
Well, what took me to Germany was I was drafted during the Korean War, and we took 16 weeks of training to go to Korea. And by the time we got through basic training, they thought that the war in Korea was winding down and that we were not needed there, so they sent us off to Europe. And I went to Europe to the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment. And when I first got there, they were relieving another regiment down on what they called the Fulda Gap. They were living in a tent city doing border patrol. And after that patrol was over, we went back to our camp at Augsburg, Germany. And we've done border patrol out of there until they had a crisis in Berlin when President Truman sent 2 National Guard divisions over, and we had to move out of Augsburg to make room for those 2 divisions. And our regiment split up into battalions and each battalion went close to their sector of the border, and so I wound up in Bamberg where I met Oma. My battalion was stationed in Bamberg, and we could done border patrol out of there. And I was a scout. Official title was Armored Intelligence and Reconnaissance Specialist. And I was a scout section leader.
Okay, Olivia, ask Oma something.
Did you like the food that you ate when you were little, and what kind was it?
When I was a little girl, what kind I liked? Well, we in Germany, we eat a lot of meat. And we usually always had mashed potatoes, gravy, and there was one meat and it came from the pig. And we called it Schweinefleisch, and I like this the best. Oder Rouladen. And Rouladen is a piece of meat that comes from a cow. And that gets real thin sliced. Okay, and it's about bigger than a hand. And you put you take bacon and you cut it up in nice fine little pieces. You put this in there, and you put a little pickle in there, a little spice, and then you roll it up and put toothpicks in that it won't fall apart. That's like a roll. We call it Rouladen. And then you take gravy and you saut it with the gravy and get it all brown, and it was good.
I'll have to have Oma make us some.
I don't even find it meat here.
Okay, think it's Ingrid's turn. Everything's been asked.
How old were you when you guys met?
Well, go back with her a couple of years.
Go back with her.
I don't want to go back with her.
Oma was 20
We're
something.
back,
24 when I
I
met
was
her.
22.
That you was 24 when you got Lane,
Yeah, I was 24 when I met
Okay, so did you have any other girlfriends before that, Dad?
Oh, I've had girlfriends, yeah.
Well, who were they?
Nothing serious.
Well, how old were you?
Your first
That was
love.
here.
How old
No,
were
you
you
were a
when
teenager.
How old were I?
How old were you when Grandma let you start
Your
dating?
first girlfriend.
Just before I went in on, I had a girlfriend.
Do you remember her name? Or
She was 14 and I was
14!
20.
You were
20. You go to jail for that kind of stuff.
She was 14 and you were 20.
Yeah.
Wow! Jailbait.
Maybe she was 15 before I met.
Is that why you guys broke up because you left for the Army? Is that why?
Well, she found some, she didn't live here in town.
Has she found another boyfriend? Has she found another boyfriend, that we said?
Yeah.
And was she a member of the church?
No, she had some friends, this friend of hers worked at Cook's Drug Store at Fountain Square. They was in the old store in Fountain Square building. And she came up here to visit. And we were introduced by this old woman that worked there in her.
I did. Okay, Alma, did you have any boyfriends?
No, I had quite a few.
I did.
But not lovey ones.
Not lovey-dovey.
But not lovey-dovey.
Can you define that? Can you give us some examples of what you mean by that?
Well, then
Hey, no
I had a close girlfriend. And given about 4 or 5 girls who've been really close and thick. Come here. And we went out together. So when we met somebody, we had fun, but we went home together with the girls. And in Germany, I had one.
No,
His name was Richard. I guess that's why I give him the name Richard. Yeah, in Germany I had one. But there was, I was a fugitive, poor, I didn't have nothing. And he was a farmer's son. And his family was after him. They dated one girl who was a farmer's daughter.
He was a hard worker.
Yeah, well, like I said, dating, there was no hoop-de-doo involved.
No.
But
Hoop-de-doo.
just a little closer,
No more girls club questions.
close friendship. But we broke up because his parents been after him to do with that job. She was a farmer's daughter. So that had something to do with, I'm poor, and she got something to offer him.
What's that?
You know what it is.
Well, we gotta wait for Opa to come back.
He didn't want to hear about your mom's boyfriend.
He's heartbroken.
He went to the bathroom.
Me and my girlfriend, we went out, we had fun. We went dancing, went home alone. We didn't meet
I
nobody.
want to hear about Aunt Monica.
Aunt Monica?
Yeah.
Well, I don't got much to tell about Aunt Monica, except she was my father's sister. And she was one of the best, because she was a good person. She never had kids. And she was the one who put the love on his nieces and nephews, because she didn't have no kids. And she was one of the best. That's all I can say. Monica lives in my mind and in my heart for always. Because she died because she became tuberculosis, because she smoked a lot. She was told not to smoke, but she wouldn't give up her cigarettes. She never had kids. And she always put her love into the nephews and nieces.
Did Hitler have any influence on your life as a child?
Not
Did you guys
me.
have to wear uniforms to school?
Oh
or
yeah.
something? Was that because of Hitler, or was that just the
No,
society?
that was through Hitler in that time, yeah. You had to go to those meetings, and they called it BDM, Bundestagmädel, and they wore black skirts, and not really yellow, and not really off yellow, yellowish, brownish jackets. And when you've been in there for 2-3 years, you earned then the tie and the knot, which I never did, because my father didn't believe in all the things, so I didn't went very many times. And like I said, we lived in the country first, then we moved to the city. And when I got to the city, I wouldn't go to the meetings anymore. And one day, walked on the street, and there comes my leader. And she said, how come you not come to all the meetings? When I said, well, we moved to the city, and that's too far from me to go from the city to the country to go to the meetings. And she said, well, listen, who is your leader in the city? I said, I didn't sign up yet. She said, well, she said, that's fine. She said, I'm going to find out. She said, what school you going to? I was so scared you're going to tell me in and all this. So I told her the school I am. I said, my mom said, why didn't you tell her the school you go? Why didn't you lie? I said, I was so scared. I told her the truth. So I waited every day to be called to the office. But I guess she must have forgotten, or she just didn't got interested in. And I was afraid they're going to call me up and ask me why I'm not come to all the meetings. I never joined.
What was they teaching you? Nazism?
Yeah.
Andrea.
Hitler.
Andrea.
This one here.
You know,
Sit
everything
down.
was but Hitler. Heil Hitler this, Heil Hitler this, and Hitler is the Führer, Hitler is the savior of the country, and Hitler gonna do everything right, and just German, just white. No Jews.
Okay. Christy,
What?
do you want to ask Oma and Opa something?
Yeah.
Christy. Ron, is the other two girls up there still?
No, they're right there.
Hold on a second, I'm gonna get you in the camera.
I want to know how Oma learned her English and did anybody help her?
Well, I tell you something else. That's why I don't can speak English today.
Yes, you do.
Because every time, you know, and I'm going to tell you something. For me, I'm so mad at myself. I think I've not been born with good smartness.
Oh.
Heavenly Father forgot at me in that way. Because I'm here 40 years, and with 40 years, I should speak like a Hoosier, or like a hillbilly. One of those two.
You want to speak like a
Well, I don't care. At least nobody would ask me where I'm from. And
But anybody from Germany who was born and raised
no,
in Germany
I had a
has a
girlfriend.
German accent.
I
I mean,
had
I've
a
never
girl-
known
I-
anybody not to have an accent in
Ask him.
Germany.
I had a girlfriend, Barney. And Barney, in 2 years, the girl spoke like American. She worked for an American household. And nobody believed her that she was German.
Well, most people still have their accents.
Sister Clayton does.
And anyway,
So
the way I done it, I just done it on my own, you know.
tell us about the
You
hospital now.
you
Tell us
hear-
about the hospital room in the newspaper.
Well, you hear stuff, you know, and then you try to remember. But when I've been in the hospital, see, I forgot which baby I was, Mary. The nurse came and said, brought the material, newspaper around, or the little magazines. She handed it to me, and I'm not about to say I don't know how to read, you know. So I just took it, and there I lay in my bed, you know. Look. I didn't know what I'm looking at, you know. And then, when I came home, you know, I turned the TV on. Your kids been watching cartoons and all this. And I've been listening, you know, what they said on the cartoon show. Or whatever show we watched at the time. And then I took every morning the newspaper. And I took the newspaper. And eventually, I started bringing those words out. I didn't pronounce them right. Sometimes the girls say, you know, Mom, you don't pronounce it right. You just pronounce in another way. Or they, you know, I said something and they say, no, that's not how you say it. That's how I learned myself how to read, through the newspaper. I read the newspaper and television.
Well, I think that's really smart to be able to teach yourself how to read and speak English with no help. I think that's really good.
Okay, what about for Opa?
I want to know if he ever went to any of them show clubs in Germany.
What show clubs?
You know what I'm talking about, where all the women in little sleazy outfits.
Sleazy outfits.
They didn't have them one day.
That's modern
Now,
invention.
they've always had
But would you have went?
That's what she...
Would you have went?
Europe has become more westernized.
She wanted to know if you patronized prostitution houses during
No, we didn't have them.
They had no need for them.
But then remember that prostitute.
I don't need for them, the German ladies get out food.
They had prostitutes, you know, they had kitchens and stuff like this.
Oh, my.
What does G
Besides that,
But they didn't have the
as far as
option.
prostitution, that wasn't possible back then because
General
the police would
information.
even then, the police would go into these inns or
Governmental
gas houses or whatever.
Girls under 18 years, they had to be out by 9.
Everybody had what they called a KIN card, an identification card issued by the police department, right? And they knew all the girls who had ever had venereal disease or anything, and they'd go into the bars and they'd check their identification, and if one of them had a name of somebody that had a venereal disease, they'd take her downtown.
But those cops know the girls, because when they came into those hotels, they took the girls 1, 2, 3, they said out. And outside was the ambulance waiting. Put him in the ambulance and took him up to the hospital for venereal disease examination. So in those days, they really been after to control the disease, and those girls, you know, would try to go for the money or verrauben them or whatever. So it was hard in that time. The police was constantly on the lookout for girls with a dog. There is something going on, or they take you in. Or that even when you didn't do nothing, the one that shouldn't go for an examination, you couldn't say nothing, you had to go.
Okay.
My
Oh, go
turn.
ahead.
Me and Mike Okay, Dad, I want to know who your favorite sibling was when you were growing up, who you were closest to.
Rose.
To Rose? And can you
Because
tell
she
me,
was closer to me in age.
what did you guys do together? What can you
Well, I
remember
don't
doing?
know, we've done so many things together, maybe we went to movies 2
Go
times,
sit
but
on the landing.
we were close at home, and if I had trouble with a neighborhood kid, Rose always stood up for me. And when I was real little, they tell me that I ate what Rose ate.
You ate what Rose ate?
Yeah, I would watch her what she was eating, and I would eat the same.
Is Rose older than you?
Huh?
Is Rose older than you?
Rose is 2.5 years old.
Well, who are you closest to now? As an adult, who are you closest to?
Probably Lena.
Why?
Why?
Well, is there a bond there? What is it?
Well, she's just always been an inspiration.
An inspiration? Why has she been an inspiration?
She's the best.
I want to know from Dad, why is Lena an
Well,
inspiration
because
to
she's
you?
been through so much, and she's still there.
Since you bring up Aunt Lena, can you tell me about how her husband died? Do you remember him?
My sister, Lena,
Yeah, your sister Lena. Can you tell me about her husband?
her husband was on a Air Force C-119 cargo plane. They had been on it. He was a navigator on that plane. They had been on a training mission, went from Hill Air Force Base down to somewhere in Texas, and they were on their way back to Hill Air Force Base. The engines iced up on the plane, and they were 25 miles from Hill Air Force Base, and the pilot pushed the panic button and told them all to bail out. And being the navigator, he was the first one out. So he landed by himself. And 9 others landed in the woods all together, and the pilot was the last one to bail out, and he was the first one found because I think he landed out in open territory or something. Okay, so a sheriff's posse found the 9 that landed together, and 3 or 4 of them had froze to death by the time the posse found them. And Don was the last one, and they didn't find him. They couldn't find him. They knew approximately where he would have landed on a mountaintop, but they couldn't find him. So after 9 days, they gave up the search in that area. Then on that 9th day, it was a Sunday, a sacrament meeting, and my mother prayed. She gave the closing prayer. She prayed that they would find him dead or alive. The next day, a helicopter pilot had a hunch, and against orders, he went back into this area that they had turned over with a fine-tooth comb. They gave up the search. He went back over there. The snow was beginning to thaw, and he saw the orange parachute, and he found Don frozen to death.
Wasn't there a set of prints?
Huh?
Wasn't there a set of prints
What
going
was
from
this?
him?
A set of prints up on that mountaintop that looked like was made by a one-legged man, and they started and stopped out in the middle of nowhere. So we don't know what they were, really, except that we think they had a visitor, a heavenly visitor. And the thing to start with, Lena called here while Inge and the girls were in Germany at the time. And to November 1958. Me and Mother were getting ready to go to bed, and the phone rang. And it was Lena. She said, Don's plane is down. So, a little while before this, she found out she was vacuuming the floor of their apartment. So the house would be clean and everything when he got home. And she heard a voice calling, Lena, Lena. She knew it was our father's voice calling her. She didn't notice it. Just as over the sound of the vacuum. But she didn't know what that meant until a half hour later, another wife, Air Force wife called her and told her it was a plane.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
No, I've never seen a ghost. I've seen a spirit.
Okay, what'd you see?
Upstairs in the front room, I was asleep. And Don's body was on, I don't know if it was on a train or a plane or what, but it was en route to Indianapolis for a memorial service at our old steakhouse on 39th Street.
Nice coat on.
I woke up and he was standing at the foot of the bed. In the spirit.
Did he say anything to you?
Didn't say anything.
That was that the day they found him, or when?
No, it was after they found him.
After they found him?
When the body was on its way here.
That used to be Lena's room?
Huh?
That used to be Lena's room?
Did that used to be Lena's room? That you
Yeah,
saw?
they slept up there before, yeah, several, 2 or 3 times when they stayed here.
Okay, Mom, will you tell me about your brother? Got memories about your brother, Warner?
Well, my brother was 12 years older than me. And his father died before my mom could marry him in the war. She was pregnant with him, and before he could marry my mom, he never returned from the war. So my mom raised my brother till she met my father. My grandmother wasn't pleased with my father. Well, my mom been living with her mother. So when she met my father, my grandmother said, I keep the boy. Well, my mom worked all her life. As long as I can remember, my mom always worked. Well, she worked even when she had my brother. And my grandmother babysitting. Then when my mother met my father, my grandmother found certain things out about my father, and she wasn't pleased about that my mother married him. And she told her, well, with them that you got to work still, will you get married now to him? She said, I'm going to keep the boy. You just pay me every week a little bit, and you can have him on the weekend. And that's what they did. My grandmother kept him, and my mom came and got him on Friday and took him back over Monday morning before she went to work. And
What do you remember? What did you do fun with your brother? What did you like about your brother? Remember about him?
Well, like I said, we've been living at that time. It was a little country place, and my Oma lived in the city with my brother. And every weekend he came out there, and I was so proud of him when he came. There's my big brother. I told all the kids in the neighborhood, my big brother. And his name was August, okay? We called him Gusto in the family. And there's Gusto this year. And I just was tickled to death to see my brother when he came. When he came over the weekend every week, and usually we went to the river because we've been living from the river, maybe from here to Emwex. But the river, the Oder. We went to the Oder and we went swimming and everything. And Sunday night he had to go back to my grandmother's house. And I always was sad. I took him to the bus stop, and I always wanted to keep him because I was so proud of him. He's my big brother. And my mom started working then, and my grandmother started taking care of me too. And I was then closer to him. And I was always proud of him because I never ever had a smack from him or a bad word from him, nothing. And when he went in the army, he went to the Air Force. I was so proud of him. When he came, he always brought me a present home and everything. Here's my big brother. I was always tickled to death. 12-year difference, you know. And
your brother had 2 daughters.
Oh,
do you remember them, or can you tell us about them?
Oh yeah, after the war, then we resettled them. Well, he got married before the war was over. He met somebody in Austria and got married in Austria. And they had one daughter, Renate.
Yeah, she died. Oh, she's
And they had Renate at that time. But his wife wasn't what she's supposed to be. And they got a divorce. So he came and stayed with us in Bavaria at the time because he was in Austria. And the marriage broke up, so he came to Bavaria. His daughter died.
How'd she die?
We never got the true meaning out of it, but they said it was an accident that she got killed into a car. But other times we had speculation that somehow she got harmed and got killed this way. But we never got the true meaning.
How old was she, do you know?
Probably 20, 21, 22 at the time. And when he came to Bavaria, he stayed with my mom for a while. He got a job.
The girl was that old? How old was the little girl when she died?
Oh, when the little girl died.
Yeah, the little girl. How old was the little girl, not you?
I'm still here.
I know. How old was the little girl? I thought you were telling me how old you were when she died. How old was the little? Wasn't she a little girl? Wasn't she 4?
Yeah,
3 or 4?
Yeah, she was just 3 or 4. I'm getting confused now. Lily.
Okay.
That's okay. Anyway, he came to Bavaria and stayed with us, okay? And that's when he met his other wife, or met Gretel. And Gretel was 100% okay. She was a good person and everything. And he had another daughter with her.
And her name?
And her name is what?
Karine.
Renate.
Karine.
Renate died, right?
The first Renate died,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
he married.
Gretel
Then
is
he met
Karine's
Gretel and
mom.
had Karine.
Oh yeah, that's right. See, I forget. See, I don't write to her. We don't. I got no communication right now.
Then he met Anna Marie.
Oh, that's true.
You remember Karine, right?
Gosh,
Then
you
you-
remember more. Please talk. Yeah. Anyway, he met then his second wife, and the second wife they never got married for that reason. Well, she was.
And then what is her wife? She's his lover.
Okay, they've been living together for
Yeah.
3 or 4 years, right? She didn't want to marry him because she was
A widow.
a widow, and she got a pension. She got a pension for her first husband, and she was afraid she gonna lose the pension. So he went and got, after a while, they just split, and he got himself somebody else. And that's when he got Karin. With a Renate.
Renate. And it was Anna Marie.
Yeah, Anna Marie. And he died.
So you
So
only
he
have
got 2 daughters left.
So you've got 3 nieces, and one died when she was little,
Yeah,
and you've got 2 living.
2 living ones still.
Okay.
Did you see both of them when you guys were young?
I'd like to know,
And Karine's one had the purple hair down or something.
I'd like to know from both of you.
Did what?
I'd like to know, when you went to school, what kind of pants you wore, how far you had to walk, and how deep was the snow.
Oh.
How deep was the snow? Did you talk to me?
Both of you.
Well, when I went to school, my clothing was the style of the period. When I first started school, first grade, I used to have to wear knickerbockers. You know what knickerbockers are?
Those things will come up to you.
But I only remember wearing them for about 1 year after that. I just wore normal pants. It's corduroys or something like that.
How far did you have to walk?
Well, from here to over to school 20, about 8 blocks.
And how deep was the snow?
The snow was deep as it could be,
Put me down.
depending on how much fell.
He's in there. Mom, what kind of pants did you have to wear? How far did you have to walk? And how deep
Now,
was
always for those sweats, what we got here. We call them in that time training pants. And I always had sweats as a child.
the snow? How far did you have to walk to school?
You didn't wear any dresses?
Oh yeah, we had dresses too, in the winter, for playtime. So soon you came home from school, you had to change your dress. You wore dresses to school. At that time, you didn't wear pants to school. Pants was out the question in my days to get to school.
Okay, how far did you have to walk to school?
Well, when we lived in the country, I go on the bus. So I walked probably from here down to the corner, get on the bus, and the bus brought me back. But when we moved to the city, I had to walk maybe from here to Linda's.
And how deep was the snow?
Probably about this. But regular like here.
And did you have boots?
Yeah, rubber boots up to here.
And Dad, did you have boots?
Got
did you
I
have
don't
shoes?
recall, yeah, we
He
have,
was shoeless.
Tell him to wipe his
sometimes we
face
have
off.
clubhouses.
Okay. So all these stories about walking 5 miles barefoot in the snow to school, that's just all lies?
In my age it is, I never need to walk to
Do
school.
what now?
All right, Rob wants to ask Mom and Dad some questions. He hasn't had a turn yet.
Yeah. Yeah, see.
No, Rob, I did not know you,
Wait a
I
minute.
did not know
I
your
was
father.
rich, I was well taken care of.
Boy, Rob's really getting into it. Look at him.
Well, no, I've just been running the camera.
Yeah, he's getting relaxed.
I can't find him. How do you see
Okay.
this thing?
Let's see here. I want, can you see me okay?
Yeah.
It's not one of my better hair days.
Now, wait a minute. We didn't all get to do that.
Yeah, lift him up there.
Okay, Rob.
Okay, I want you to tell me about some of your teenage memories at Fountain Square.
I don't, that's been too long ago, I don't remember.
Come on. You
I want
remember?
Tell me about,
Mommy, come on, let you in clean box.
Well, yeah, we already talked about that.
Oh, did you?
That Utah hat?
Okay, tell you about the Fountain Square, what about Fountain Square, what do you want to know about Fountain Square?
remember the favorite, the old post you used to call your leaning post? Tell me about your teenage days and in this area.
My teenage days in this area,
Yeah.
teenage days.
Tell me about the theaters you'd go to. And
When you were a kid, was this the suburbs?
We had 3 theaters at the Fountain Square. One was the Fountain Square Theater in the Fountain Square building. The other one was the Granada, which was over there where Murphy's is. Murphy's was just a small floor there. When the theater went out, Murphy's knocked the wall out and built on over into the old theater. And the other was the Sanders Theater, we're on Prospect Street and where the Sights and Sounds is right now, or whatever, some kind of rental company. In the Fountain Square building on the 4th floor was the Fountain Square bowling alley. Where you guys have been, some guy put some alleys in it again and made a pinball. Duck pin. I spent a lot of my time up there in the bowling alley.
Did you have a part-time job or any kind of job when you was going
I
to
worked
school?
when I went to school,
Yeah.
grade school,
No,
Oh,
junior high.
Teenager.
well, I worked some at Polk Milk County on the bottle washers. I worked at the Fountain Square Bowling Alley, and I worked at the Parkway Bowling Alley, which is the 34th in Illinois, and it was owned by the same guy that owned the Fountain Square alleys. I worked there as a maintenance man, cleaning the alleys, keeping the pool tables clean, and stuff like that.
Did you meet a lot of girls there?
Huh? What?
You meet a lot of girls there?
No. No, I didn't.
So bowling alleys weren't for women back then.
Well, there was when they had mixed freaks and women freaks, but
okay,
not a lot of young people.
another question I have is that when you were 30, you did not believe you'd live to be 65 years old. Is that true?
That's true.
Why?
Now that you're 65 years old, what advice would you give everybody who's 30 today?
Or 35.
Why didn't you believe you'd live to 65
That's
first?
what I want to know.
Because the males in my family,
Because of
the
his dad.
Hollenbaugh side didn't live that long.
That's what Ricky's
Because
told
of
me.
his dad. His
My dad was
died.
49 when, and I think his father was,
Ricky gets heart murmurs and stuff.
didn't reach 65, I'm sure.
You're ready to tell you.
How old
I just
was
think
your
every
dad's
time.
dad?
Huh?
How old was your dad's dad?
I don't know.
You never met him?
I just vaguely remember him when I was just
And how old did you
2 or
say
3
your
years
dad
old.
was? How old was his dad? 49.
So what advice would you give people who are 35 years old today? Knowing what you've already lived your life up to 65 years old. So what advice do you give? What would you have done differently had you knew you were going to live to
you
be
see,
65?
things are different.
Millionaire.
Things are different.
Invest in Apple computers.
When I was a teenager, we didn't have cowabunga or cocaine or heroin or marijuana. So I don't know what to tell these kids of today that's on all that dope and everything.
Live the best you can. Family first. Always family first. Your wife and your children is the most important thing in your life. And do the best you can to support them and be the father or the mother to those children.
What's Tollywag?
You don't know?
No, I have no idea.
It's
Well, one of
glue.
your friends that told me that some guy was talking about
Sniffing
tallywhacker.
glue.
I-
It's tollywag.
So I asked one of your friends, I said, what's tallywhacker?
Now I find
It's not
something out
whacker,
today.
tollywag.
See, I didn't even know that neither.
He thought, oh, you mean tallywag?
If he works in a factory, you
Kind of
can
dope.
tell.
Some kind of dope that they did.
It's glue. They sniff glue. They put it on a rag and they sniff it.
You can tell if it is in a factory.
What is
You learn a lot of
Tollywag?
those places.
What is
Okay.
your hope for the future?
Wait a minute, Rob's not done.
You wish to
What
God
is
was-
my hope for the future?
Wait a minute,
He
Rob.
moved his feet and lost
That's
his
that
Now,
last.
you're talking about?
That's that
Yeah.
last.
Yeah, that's a good
Don't
ending.
don't answer that yet.
That's a good ending.
That's a good ending. We'll end with that. Wait a minute, we're having camera
We're having
problems.
technical
We are
problems.
recording the ceiling.
Okay, so since the recorder's on, what are your hopes for the future?
No, we want to do that last.
Okay.
What kind of
It is
activities, okay, how is the church different today than what it was
It's
when
almost
you was
over
a youth?
anyway.
Did they have young men, young women and all that when you was in the church?
Well,
No,
about
the organization,
when
like the youth dances
when
and
I
all
was
that.
young, we didn't have everything they have today. We would have Sunday school on Sunday morning, sacrament meeting on Sunday evening, and after we had the sacrament, they would play a march, and all the children would march down to the basement for primary. The other things like MIA, they would have on weekday nights, but I don't remember that they had a split young men, young women. It's just Mutual Improvement Association. Now they call it Young Women's Mutual, Young Men's Mutual. I don't remember if they had it separated. And the only reason they didn't, I imagine, the only reason they didn't have it separated is because of the small amount of people
They're learning
that we
too.
had.
They're learning more
So,
too.
they didn't have like a stake back
Rob's
then,
got,
did they?
we've only got a few
Was
minutes
this,
left on
how long was
They had one
the one on
on
Villa, how long was it the only church?
Huh? How long was one?
The church on Villa, the only one.
What about it? How long was it the only one? I'm not sure because as it grew, they made a north branch, and I'm not sure just when that north branch was made.
Now, did Rob have anything?
But
Rob?
when we made a stake, we still only had 2 branches in Indianapolis, and they became wards. When Spencer Kimball made it stake, they became the Indianapolis ward and the Indianapolis second ward. The Indianapolis ward is what they call the first ward now. But at that time, Spencer Kimball said it would not be the first ward. It would be the Indianapolis ward.
Hey, what are they doing staying in there anyway?
Rob, do you have a question to ask your mother-in-law?
Back in Germany, not everybody in Germany was for the Nazi Party. What was your knowledge of what was going on before World War II started? Was you ever afraid that we would get in a world war? Or what was the average
Well,
mindset?
one thing I have to leave it to my father. He was not for Hitler. But that's not what I meant when I said one thing I have to leave it to him. He was for justice, okay? He wanted everybody to live in peace and have their rights. But in the other, I don't know, because in our family we didn't speak politics because you know how children are. So parents been afraid to talk about politics in those days because they were afraid kids go outside and they open their mouths and they come and get the whole family. If the kids say something what was against Hitler or against the government or whatever, they came and took you away. But politics in my home was like, if my father wasn't pleased with Hitler, but it was never voiced in front of me.
Okay, I have a question for both of
That's
you.
something we had to be careful about.
What can you tell us about the day that the war ended? How did your family react? How did you react? Can you remember where you were?
Well, like I said, we had to leave our hometown on the 20th of January in 1945. My brother was married at the time, he had a girl from Austria. And we had to go on trains. They took us by trains out shift-wise. And we landed in Austria at the time. And we went to my sister-in-law's home. And when we got to my sister-in-law's home, she got scared. By the time the war got, the Americans and the English and the French, they gotten closer into Germany. And they circled Germany in. So my sister-in-law got scared now. And she didn't want to stay in Austria. So she took her daughter, and she made her way. She became now what you call it, fugitive, so what you call these people. She went far into Germany to get away from the enemy, in other words. She got scared now that they're going to get killed, so she took her daughter, and they had trains going constantly, taking people to safety. Well, you couldn't get away because we got circled in by everybody, by the English, by the American, by the French. So Germany got all surrounded. So no matter where you went, you got surrounded. She made her way over to Bavaria at the time, so she let me and my mom and my father stay in her apartment at the time. And my father said, we're not running no more, because no matter where we're going to run into somebody. So we went up to the mountains. They came and let the sirens going, and they had their cars going by with loudspeakers for the people to leave their homes and go up to the mountains for safety. And just take 20 pounds clothing along and one blanket and get up to the mountains. And that's what we did.
I want to know about the day you found out the war was over, though. Where were
Well,
you?
The enemy marched in. What could you do? They came.
The last day of it, when Hitler was
When they
defeated.
said it's over.
Well, when the war was over, good. Because
That's what I mean. Where were you? Were you together as a family? Where were you?
No, that's why I just tried to tell you. We've been in Austria when the enemy came
Oh, okay.
in. And that's be the Russian who got into that part. And from there out we made our way over to Bavaria, to Bamberg. And the American came in. And the war was over. What could we do?
Dad, where were you when they said World War II was over? When the war was over?
I was here in Indianapolis.
And how did the family react so far away? Did you guys even care?
Well, the family was all happy about it. The thing I remember most is being at Fountain Square, and the girl was in a ticket window with the Sanders Theater had a copy of the newspaper up in her window, and with big headlines said peace, and everyone that lived on the south side of Indianapolis blocked off Virginia Avenue and marched uptown to Monument Circle, where the whole city had a celebration.
So here in Indianapolis, did people know much about Hitler? Did they hear anything about it? How did your family feel?
Every day it was in the news.
How did your family feel?
Well, my family felt that he was a dictator and needed to be overthrown.
What would you feel if you fight somebody? Naturally, you're going to defeat them. You don't want to be defeated, so you're going to go do your best to defeat the other country.
So you were, okay. Well, so you guys met and we're here now. So now we would like you each to say something to your grandchildren or for the future. Say something to us about the future. What you wish for your family to carry on. Or what you would like us to know.
for every member of my family, brothers, sisters, grandchildren, and children and all, to embrace the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that the whole family will be sealed together and be together in the heavens.
Mom, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I got something to say.
Okay.
Like I said before, I've been living for you kids. When I die, I want you all be together. I want every one of you, remember, you brothers and sisters, I might not be a perfect mother, but God help me. I do love you with all my heart. And each one of you, I want you to love each other. And remember, you brothers and sisters, because I loved you, I born you, I came. I done my best. Maybe I wasn't the best mother. Maybe I wasn't a disciplinarian. Maybe I disciplined too much. Maybe I was too hard in raising your kids. Maybe I wasn't good enough in getting your kids the education you needed. Maybe I wasn't good enough to make you smarter than you should be, and I think you are. And I wish with all my heart, love each other and take care of each other when I'm not here no more.
Shut up, you guys.
Anybody else?
Grandkids. Remember, you mothers and fathers,
No.
get the kids together. Not the cousins know each other. I had a cousin, and I loved that girl so much. And so before we lost each other. And I still think on Angela today. And I think on my cousins. I was not too close with some, but I was close with Angela. And I want you, boys, get together with the girls. Bring your kids together. They fight, they argue, they're going to call each other names. I done it with my cousin. But boy, that girl lived in my heart today. That's Ruth next door, who was living next door to me. She was 3 years old and she always thought she could go dating and I couldn't. She always teased me about this. But I loved it through till today. And I want you kids have the experience. They know their cousins. Not go on each other. Oh, that's my cousin. I hate her. She's a little better than me. I don't want this to happen. I want them to love each other. We're all not perfect. We all got a lot to improve. Like me, I got a lot to improve. But I don't think I ever will, even if I pray for it. There's one, and there's another one who got no man.
Oh my gosh.
Now I want you boys, be after those
I don't want to
girls.
marry them.
You don't need to marry them. They can marry you and they can take care of you guys a little.
Mom's got,
Look in. Jimmy, you too. They can look after you girls.
Okay, boys,
Oh,
you
there's
heard that.
Jimmy.
You got to take care of me when I'm old.
Oh, that Ricky.
Him and Rob went someplace.
That's what I want you to do. Those girls need you.
So are you
She
saying
needs
that?
you. They need a man
They
sometime.
do not.
Is that what you're saying? This on
What'd you say?
Take care of ourselves.
Right.
We don't need a man.
That's important to me.
Ben or for-
What'd you say?
It is important to me that
Megan says we don't need a man.
You
take care of
will.
ourselves.
I'll remember you said that.
you look in once in a
I
while.
want to see you chasing them.
Aaron said he would take care of me when I was old.
He's taking care of me.
Ryan's going to put me in a big mansion, he said. Ryan told me.
Did he say that right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I'm getting now in the age where he gets a little gobby-gobby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's getting there.
Okay, well, we thank you for this interview.
He does got a soft spot.
Now let's watch it.
We thank you for this interview. Does anybody have anything? Lisa, we've looked at your side all night.
Yeah, the backside.
The backside.
My best side.
All right, thank you, and we'll do this again someday.
This.
Aaron's got something to say.
I got something to say. I don't want to see the tape because I don't want to hear myself talk.
Oh.
One thing I'm sorry that I never ever could learn American with the language imperfect.
Well, we love your language.
So when you ever talk, when you ever gonna go to the tape, we say, darn it, why couldn't she learn to talk a little better in the 40 years she's been here?
But Mom, everybody loves your dialect, and it wouldn't be Mom without
Yeah, that's
your.
right. If it changed
That's
now,
right.
it just wouldn't be you.
So just remember that.
Megan, Aaron, Misty. She used to be a hog, but she don't like to show us anymore.
Robbie finally fell asleep when the tape's over.
Abby,
Heard him scream all the way.
Abby and Robbie. Aaron, stop it. Abby and Robbie.
Want me to take him, honey, from you?
Yeah.
Our hands are real cold.
Andrea and Miranda.
Hi, I'm Inge.
Did you see that?
And Miranda. And Olivia.
Hi, I'm the new person. Today it is Oma's birthday, and it's not Oma's birthday.
Aaron, get your butt in there. Just because you're a boy don't mean
Get in there on top of all of them.